Hello, welcome back to Chapter 8, Section 6, Radical Expressions and Rational Exponents. So now we're going to simplify expressions that have exponents that are fractions. And we want you to remember the the properties. I knew I'd mess up with all those P words. The properties of exponents. So while I'm looking over this, if I'm looking at this one, I'm multiplying two powers with the same base, so I'm going to add the exponents. Here I'm dividing, so I'm going to subtract the exponents. This is a power of a power, so I'm going to multiply the exponents. This is the power of a quotient, so I'm going to share that 1/3, that exponent, with both the numerator and denominator. So looking over these problems, I have a plan for how I'm going to do each one. For number 21, like I just said, this is the product of powers. So I keep the same base, which is 13, and I add the exponents. The exponents are 1/2 plus 3/2. Now I need to simplify. 1/2 plus 3/2 is 4/2, or 4/2. And 4/2 can simplify to 2. And of course, 13 to the second power equals 169. Number 22, my base is 9. And I'm going to subtract the exponents. 4/3, subtract 2/3. And this is going to give 9. 4 subtract 2 is 2 to the 2/3 power. Okay. I don't know what the cube root of 9 is, so we're going to leave it like that. All right. It's going to be irrational, and one of the things is that we don't want to estimate. So if we say, well, should we convert it to like a radical? So it'd be like the cube root of 81, I suppose, but it didn't tell me to do that. This could be the cube root of 9 squared, which is 81. But of course, I don't need to do that, so I can leave it like this. For number 23, make sure I'm in the frame. This is a power of a power, so I'm going to multiply the exponents. This becomes 64 to the 1/2 times 1/3 power. 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6. Now this one I can simplify, because I know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 64. In other words, 2 to the 6th power equals 64. I'll write that over here on the side just to remind myself. So this does simplify down just to the number 2. Like this one simplified to 169, but this one ends up still with like a radical. All right. For number 24, this is a power of a quotient. So this is going to become 8 to the 1/3 power divided by 27 to the 1/3 power. Now, 8 to the 1/3 power, I know that 2 to the 3rd power equals 8. So if I go the other way, this equals 2. I also know that 3 to the 3rd power equals 27. So the 1/3 power of 27 going backwards just leaves me 3. Line that up there. All right, now for this one, I've got that negative exponent, which means reciprocal. This is going to be 1/25 to the 1/2 power. So that's using there's really not a name for it, to be honest. I just know that when the exponent is negative, I end up with the reciprocal of what its opposite was. So 25 to the 1/2 power, that's the square root of 25. So this is just going to be 1/5. Number 26, I've got the same base, so I'm going to add the exponents. This is going to become 7 to the 1/4 plus negative 3/4, so I'll go ahead and say subtract 3/4 power. 1 subtract 3 is -2. -2/4, And I'm just going to reduce this before I go any further. This is 7 to the negative 1/2 power, which reminds me, looks like this one. So this is going to end up being 1 over 7 to the 1/2 power. Okay. Now, we got a little bit of an issue with this one. It has not come up yet. Notice that these, I did the same thing. 25 to the negative 1/2 power is 1 over 5, and 7 to the negative 1/2 power is 1 over whatever 7 to the square root of 7 is. If that was a number like 25 or 16 or 64 or 121, I could take the square root. Square root of 25 is 5. So now I got an issue. I can't leave it that way. I have to rationalize the denominator. And it's good that I recognize that this is actually the square root of 7. So now I'm going to do 7 to the 1/2 power over 7 to the 1/2 power. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. This gives me 7 to the first power, which is just 7, which is rational. 1 times 7 to the 1/2 power is 7 to the 1/2 power, also known as the square root of 7. So this is like the square root of 7 divided by 7. I rationalized the denominator. Number 27, just double checking, make sure I'm doing the right problems here. All right, the first thing I notice is that I have a negative exponent, just like that one and like that one ended up being. So this is going to be 1 over negative 125. I'm going to put it in parentheses to the 1/3 power. That's the first thing. So the negative gets taken care of by writing it as a reciprocal. All right. Now I have to ask what number times itself again equals negative 125. I know that negative 5 to the 3rd power equals negative 125. Put a little cloud around that because that's just what's in my head. So this becomes 1 over negative 5. And unlike the last time, negative 5 is rational, so I can leave it as negative 5. That's perfectly okay. Finally, number 28, I have the power of a power property. I'm going to multiply the exponents. This becomes 6 to the 1/2 times 6 power. 1/2 times 6, half of 6 equals 3, so this becomes 6 to the 3rd power. And thankfully, 6 to the 3rd power is kind of nice. This becomes 216. 36 times 6 is 216. Okay, that's a lot of examples. I'm sure I'll be talking about this a lot in class. And just keep in mind, before you get frustrated, you are learning the language of algebra. And the math of it is really not that bad. It's how we represent it that actually causes a lot of problems. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You're learning something that for most of you you've never seen before. So it's perfectly okay to get a little, what does this mean? Okay, it will be all right.